this session. So, I want to share that. Right, it's all happening. Right, so today we're talking about a time for change. The market is changing. I hear this from everybody I speak to. Head office has been drumming it into our heads. So if you've gone to the mastery class, you'll have heard this. And so we must take note of it because lots of people are telling us this. What's changing though? So let's have a look at it. First of all, let's have a look. What is the market doing? This is from FNB. You can all see that, eh? Yes. So the most obvious thing is we're in an upward cycle of the interest rates. Now, this is something that's been happening since sort of in the last 18 months or more. And but the good news is that FNB and most of the other banks are saying that they expect that the interest rates have peaked. So they're not expecting much more change. That's except for tomorrow, Thursday's one, which will probably go up by 25 basis points following the Americans. But some people say that it won't go up. I am voting that it doesn't go up. And that will be the end of this cycle of real estate, of interest rate increases. Okay, but when will the cuts come is what everybody wants to know, because that's when we can start, the market will get a bit more buoyant again. And the interest rates will come in the fourth quarter of 2024, which is not a long time away. So we're really only talking about a year's time. So what they're saying is the interest rates have gone up now over the last 2 years, let's say. They're going to stabilize, and then they're going to start coming down towards the end of next year, which is good news for us. Okay, the pressure on households, the weaker economy, and the bias sentiment that's souring is a real thing. That's what FNB is telling us. And they expect the activity in the market to soften even more. Okay, and the house price growth to stop. Now, this is important. You need to be able to tell your sellers that the growth in house prices is dropped to 2%. Okay, it's quite a big drop. And that's come down from 3.5% in 2022. Okay, now remember that 2% per annum does not mean that your house increases by value by 2% every year. Depends very much on your area and also very much on sort of what you've got. But also the point is that inflation is at, well, it's at 7.5% if you listen to the South African government. If you listen to everybody else that's trying to buy food and petrol, it's at 15%. So anyway, the point is that inflation is far outstripping the house price growth. So in nominal terms, the house price growth is actually going backwards. Okay, but the good news is that the growth has started again towards the end of 2024, which is next year. As soon as the interest rates start coming down, the growth will kick up again. So this is good news. Okay, so that's the market as we know it now. There's two sort of metrics here that I'd like to just highlight for you. The one is time on the market by region. This is quite interesting. So GPs, that's us. We're at 77 days to sale. Okay. KZN, Eastern Cape are at 85, and Western Cape outperforms by 55. Now, everybody must be thinking like, yes, I'd like to be in the Western Cape. You know, you can sell a house in under 2 months. Bang, it's gone. Well, that's fine if you've got stock, because if you haven't got stock, then you can't sell anything. And that's the problem they've got in the Western Cape. In where we are at this level, it looks like the houses sit around a little bit more. And that 77 days has gone out a bit. So what FNB is trying to tell us here, or the economists are trying to tell us, is that as an agent, you better know for sure that your stock is going to sit on the market. So you can't tell the guys, listen, if we list your house today, we'll sell it in a month. It's going to take 3 months at least. Okay, so that's what that time on by region. And this one, this figure 3 is very interesting for me. This activity levels by price band. So they've indexed this out of 10. So if you look at under 250,000 Rand properties, which we don't really trade in, well, there are a couple of guys that do in the inner city, that's actually showing growth. So you can see that this dark line is where it was, and this new line is where it's come from, where it's gone to recently. So what we can see here is that in the lower end of the market, under 500,000 Rand, there's an uptick. You're actually busier. So if you're in the city center or in an area where you're selling maybe just land or small flats, you are getting busier. Okay. Now, if you look at the rest of the market, for up to 750, it's come down from that 6, the 750 to 1.6. This is where we all trade. It's come slightly down. But what's very interesting to me is it hasn't come down. You know, we always say, oh, the market sort of 700 to 1.2 million. That's the sweet spot. Anything above that takes longer to sell. Anything below that, it's not really worth it. But if you look at this data, it's not really true. Above 500,000 Rand, it doesn't really change. It's all slightly down, but still still active. So bear that in mind. So what I'm trying to say to you is, if you're selling at 1.6 million Rand mark, and you've listened to me in the past saying, a 3 million Rand house will take longer to sell. It may be so, but it's actually, if you look at this one here, at over 3.6 million Rand, the decrease in activity is actually less than your 750. So that means that the guys with higher end stuff are not going to experience a lesser activity in their market, no more than you are. So what I'm trying to say to you is that if you've got a lot of sort of stock in the 1.2 million Rand or 750 to 1.2, go out and get some bigger stock. It's worth it because that market is still buoyant. It is still not buoyant, I wouldn't say, but I would still say active. Eh? Right. Okay, so it's quite interesting to look at these things. I'll send them out to you as well. Okay, so you've all heard it's a buyer's market. We weren't consulted on this. We weren't involved in the design phase. Nobody asked us anything about it. They just suddenly, I just started hearing it's a buyer's market. And I thought, well, what does this actually mean? Well, I suppose a buyer's market really refers to when the purchasers start having the power. In some respects, if there's only one house on the market in the whole of South Africa and I own it, I can ask what I want for it because there's only one house to buy. And somebody wants it, they're going to pay. If there are a million houses on the market, then you haven't really got much leverage as a seller because there's so many houses to compete with. So the buyers then have the advantage. So in this market, the purchasers do have an advantage because they've got a lot of choice. So there's a lot of stock on the market and there's fewer buyers. Why are there fewer buyers? Because interest rates are going up, means less people qualify for bonds. And why is there more stock on the market? Because the people are taking longer to sell. So the house that would have been sold isn't still there. So now people can compare. Now they've got 2 houses, 3, 4, 5 in one area that's available to them. Okay, so the bottom line is houses are going to sit on the market for a little bit longer, and they're going to be a lot of them. Okay, so bear that in mind. So shift happens. Remember that when the market is shifting now, the market shifts, you have to shift with it. Why do you have to shift with it? Well, I'll make you another slide. See. What do we do now? Well, there's an interesting thing. If you want to read a book called Who Moved My Cheese, the best book ever written, and he talks about if you don't change, you'll become extinct. So just let that swim around in the soup of your mind right now. Okay. I think this move and the change in the market and this market dynamic that we're experiencing, it shouldn't be something that worries you. It should only be something that you act on. Okay, there's a big difference between sitting there going, oh my God, the market's changed, it's shifted, there's got all of these interest rates have changed, my house is going to be on the market for longer. That is not the solution to anything. The right thing to do is to say, but real estate is cyclical. We know it's going to go up and down and up and down. Interest rates are going to go up, interest rates are going to come down. Houses will be more houses on the market, less houses. Prices will go up, prices will come down. This is not a surprise. So none of you can sit there and go, oh my word, I've never heard of this before. This is an amazing thing. Not true. We all know this is going to happen. The most important thing is that you have to react to it. If you just keep doing the same thing, you are going to find yourself in the same place that you were last week. Because if nothing changes, nothing will change. And you are the author of your own peril, remember. You are going to be the instrument in your change. So these shifts are expected and predictable. They shouldn't be scary for us, that we know they're going to happen. And remember that we want change. As brokers, we want change. Those 5 Ds, the death, divorce, departure, downscaling, and upscaling, are all change. And we wanted to change, because if there's no change, there wouldn't be anything to sell. If everybody was perfectly happy in their houses and earned the same amount of money and nothing ever changed in their life, why would they sell? Because nothing's ever changed. But you need these changes to make the market active, to make it work. But what is interesting here is that the changes in the market are going to force you to do something. So in a seller's market, when there are few houses and prices are going up, you need less stock. You only need 5 months worth of stock because it's going to turn over faster. In a balanced market, you need slightly more stock. And this last sentence is where you guys really need to look at quite carefully. In a buyer's market, what we're talking about now, you need more than 6 months of stock. So you need to increase your stock levels. It's almost like something I've been telling you for a long time. Okay, get listings. You need listings, listings, listings. Why? Because they're going to sit on the market for longer. So if you've got 5 listings and you sell 2, then you've got 3 left. Okay, and if you sell 2, that's like what? 20% of your listings. If they sit on the market now for a longer period, for a longer time, then your 2 is going to go to 1 a month. Your income is going down. So you can't have 5 anymore. Now you've got to have 15 listings. So that at 20%, you will still go, and then you're going to sell 3. Then you're going to keep up with the same amount of income by increasing your footprint. You understand? So what you cannot do is say, okay, I only have 5 listings, and that's what I've always had, and I'm good at it. It doesn't matter what you think. It's because the market, the amount of days on the market has got longer. Right. So what do we do about this? Well then, Anton, FNB says this, you say that. What do I do? Okay. The first thing you got to do is double your listings. It doesn't matter how many listings you've got. If you've got 1 listing, get 2. If you've got 2, go to 4. If you've got 20, go to 40. Double your listings. But by doubling your listings, you're at least going to have enough stock to turn over, because remember, stock's going to sit for longer. So if you've got 1 house and it's going to sit for 3 or 4 months, that's a long time not to eat. Okay, you're going to lose a lot of weight. So if you've got 10 houses, you might sell 1. That's a lot better. If you've got 20 houses, you might sell 2. Okay, 40 houses, you might sell 3. So you've got it. It literally is a volumes game. You need the listings. Okay, the other thing I would suggest is that you get creative and you get active, that you get out there and you try and do things that you don't normally do. Because in a seller's market, you can just put the house on the market and people will flood in. In a buyer's market, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. So what I would do is change my focus slightly. You got the listings, now focus on the buyers, run around after buyers, spend some time on them, see if you can get them listings, speak to your colleagues. Listen, guys, I've got a buyer, he's looking for a 3-bedroom house. Who's got one for me? Let's take him there, let's show him. Because that you have to be creative now. You have to create something out of nothing. Okay. So try show days. Why not do 3 show days in a month? Tell the market that you're present in the market, that you're active. Show the market that you're busy and that you can cope with the new market. Okay, why not do 2 show days on one day? Okay, get a colleague in, sit show for each other, make it happen, get out there and expose yourself to the market in a different way. You just can't, it can't be the same old, just like wake up every day, do the same thing. Because why? The market's changed, so things have changed around you. Okay. Number 3 is very important. You need to build a listing pack. Now, we've spoken about the listings. We had our top performers on explaining to you very carefully on how to do a listing presentation. And these listing presentations, we'll do it now soon. We will go through an actual listing presentation page by page to show you guys how to do that. And we'll do it live. But this listing pack is really, really important. Why? Because you need to have all the facts in it that you can convince your seller to get the right price. You need to be able to prove your facts. It's no use just saying to Theo, hey, Theo, your house is not worth 3 million, it's worth 2. And he's going to say, well, I don't agree with you. You say, well, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I'm the agent. He's going to say, well, I've been living here. I know more than you. And you can carry on like it for 3 weeks and you still won't have an answer. But if you show him a CMA of the area, say, Theo, nothing sold in this whole area for the last year over 2 million rand. And not only that, here's property 24. Let's look at what is available. There's nothing for sale in the property for over 2 million rand. Now, what now? I've proved my facts. You still might not agree with them, but they are facts. Okay. Reality check. You need to counsel your sellers up front. You need to hit people with facts, not opinions. And you need to tell them to expect lower offers, and you need to ask them very carefully why they're selling. If a guy says to you, I'm selling my house, I'm thinking of selling it, if I get the right price and I don't need to move and I'm just thinking of it, versus, I've just lost my husband and I have to move into an old age home. They've got 1 opening for me and I have to move next week. Those are 2 completely different sellers. Do you understand? There is a completely different mindset going on there. One is a real seller. The other one is a complete and utter waste of your time. Somebody who doesn't want to sell, that is doing it because they like you, because you're all likable, you're all fantastic, you're all agents. And if you came to me, I'd say, well, sell my house then. Yeah, get me 10 million. I don't care. Go for your badge. I want to help you, but I'm not going to give it away. That's not a real seller. The guy who says, I've got to move by next Friday, that's a real seller, man. And you have to give him the right information and so that he can sign that offer when you bring it to him. Okay. It's so easy. It sounds so easy, Anton. Okay, well, let's have a look. What happens when they start arguing with me, Anton? Does they always argue with me and I don't know what to say? Well, yeah, I've told you what to say. Yeah, they are right now. So the first thing that Thea's going to say, Anton, I won't reduce my price. I can't reduce my price. Forget it. I'm not changing my price. Okay, well, come on, Curtis, why can't you change your price? And I think that's the right question to ask. Why not? Because people don't expect that. Oh, no, you can sell my house, but I'm not changing my price. Well, why not? Well, I don't want to, but why not? Why don't you want to change your price? If you want to sell it, why don't you want to change the price? And what you need to try and get through to them is the whole market has changed. Everybody is changing their price. Everybody is coming to terms with the market. You, my friend, are not special and will not get a better deal than the whole of South Africa. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So just saying something doesn't make it true. When a guy says to you, I need 2 million rand, and you say, why do you think you can get 2 million rand? Why do you need 2 million rand? And they'll tell you why. And then you need to answer why they can't get 2 million rand. And remember, facts beat opinions. That there is the golden thing there. You cannot argue with these people. You cannot argue with a seller who's saying, I've lived there for 30 years and spent millions on this house and built this new kitchen. I built it. Every brick I made outside with mud and built this whole house by myself. And I want 3 million rand. It's no use saying to him it's not worth 3 million rand. What does that mean? No. Let me show you comparatively what it's worth in this market. I'll show you the figures and I'll show you what's on for sale. And then you can decide what you think it's worth. Okay. A good question to ask people who are reluctant to drop prices. What are your holding costs? So I'm not dropping my price. Okay, well, what does it cost you to hold this house? No, nothing. Oh, really? So what's your bond? No, 2 million rand bond. It's 20,000 rand a month. And what's your rates and taxes? About 5. And electricity? Oh, it's expensive now. Also about 5. And your pool? Yeah, it's chlorine. That's about 1,500 rand a month. Okay, what about your garden? Oh, yeah, I've got a garden service. Okay, what else have you got? No, that's about it. Okay, well, you had 35,000 rand a month by my just quick calculations here. So it's costing you 35,000 rand a month. If you put it on at the wrong price and it doesn't sell in 4 months, and let's say it sells in a year, because that's how long it will take to sell the house, because what are you saying? You want to price your house in the market that FNB are telling us it's going to be at the end of 2024, 1 year's time. So if you want to price it at that price, for that market, it will sell in that market. It's not going to sell in this market. So a year's time. So let's say it takes 10 months to sell, 35,000 rand a month, 350,000 rand. You're quibbling about dropping the price for 50 grand, yeah? 50, and you are going to lose 350,000 rand. Are you sure you want to do that? And you stop talking, and you let the sweet, sad reality seep through that poor person's brain as they realize, oh my word. And then you ask him, can you actually wait? Can you really wait a year? Because you've asked him, didn't you say you have to move into an old age home next week? Yes. So what are you talking about holding on for a year for? What are you talking about? You're not allowed to slap your clients. Money joke. Okay. So the holding costs are very important. The next thing is that you need to take the actual CMA and the data and show it to them in writing. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, I know that. No. You don't know this. You don't know this. You've got to look at what I'm saying here. There are 5 houses that have sold in this area. Not one of them has achieved 1.5 million rand. Number 42, do you know that house? It's down the road there on the left. I've driven past it. There's a photograph on my phone. Yes, I know that house. Have you ever been inside it? Yeah, actually once 10 years ago we inside it. You know what? It didn't change. And it got 1.5. Why do you think your house is $1 million better than that house? You have to ask people questions like this. And you don't, and what's I going to do? If you did it to me, I'd say, listen, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of all your facts. Get out of my house. I'm not selling it. That's a better outcome than arguing and trying to sell a house that's in the wrong market. Okay. And a good way of saying this to a person is, Anton, your house isn't the wrong price at the moment. You are just in the wrong market. You are such a leader that you are a year ahead of the whole market. So we can wait for you, the market, the whole of South Africa and the world and America and everybody and the greater outer spiral arm of the Milky Way to catch up with you and your pricing. But in this market, you're not the right price. So do you want to wait to 2024 or 25? Or do you want to price it for this market? So it's not, you don't have to insult him and say, you're wrong, your price is wrong. It's not that you're wrong, it's that the market's wrong. You're just at the wrong timing in your market. Okay. My bond settlement is more than the offer that you're going to bring me. There's an offer of 2 million rand. Well, I can't. My bond's at 2.1. It means I can't pay commission. I can't even pay the bank. I've told you about this before. You need then to say, why don't we present the offer to the bank and let the bank help you get out of this house? Now, if a person is in arrears, especially if they're in arrears, the bank will accommodate them. The bank does not want a house that is running into debt. They really, really don't want it, man. So I don't know how you do this properly. I've never done it from this perspective up front. I've always done it when it's too late. So I've been presented with the fact that, oh, I've accepted the offer, but the settlement is less. That's quite, the banks will accept that. What you could do though is make this offer subject to bank acceptance if the guy is reluctant to sell. So listen, Anton, sign the offer. We put in here subject to the bank accepting settlement. Just that simple word. Then we take it to the bank and say, listen, we're 100,000 rand short here. Will you write it off? Will you accommodate me? Why? You're giving him an out. You're giving Anton a way of doing this deal. Because he doesn't understand. He just knows that the bank is 2, I'm getting 1.9, there's 100,000 and I don't have, I cannot do the deal. But you can do the deal. Teach him. That's why you're a property professional with a badge. See my badge. Look, I've got a badge. It must mean something. And I will answer for your problem because that's what you're here for. Okay. What else can you do? If my bond is more than the offered price, okay, you sit down and say, let's build a deal to solve the problem. Why don't you adjust your price by 10,000 rand downwards? I will get the attorneys to cut their costs on the other side for the buyer, and I'll even change my commission. Now, don't say that. We don't say that out loud. Okay. But you sometimes have to change your commission to make the deal fit. And then you're going to say, yes, but then you are going to adjust. Yes, your commission will be adjusted. It doesn't matter. Isn't it better to get 30,000 rand rather than you compare 150,000 rand or 30? Oh, I'm not going to take 30. Well, why not? I would, in this market, I would take the 30. Forget about the 150. It was never on the table. It's the wrong commission, the wrong price. The deal is never going to happen. You're dealing with a deal in front of you. You deal with what's in front of you. You make your decisions. It's your business. You make the decisions. You do the deal, and you help the man sell his house. That's what you've got to do. Right, I need the money to buy my new retirement home. I love this one. I need my money to go to Cape Town. I'm going down to live with my daughter, and I need the money to go to Cape Town. Dude, I'm sorry, but this, you cannot hope to fund your dreams and desires out of the sale of this house in this market. Yes? You can't just do that. I just don't get to say to you, you know what, I want a Lamborghini. I'm going to sell my Toyota. And I'm getting a Lambo, and I want 2.5 million rand for my Toyota. Why? Because I want a Lambo. No, Anton, why do you want 2.5 million rand? Because I want a Lambo. Anton, you don't get 2.5 million rand for a Toyota. Oh, okay. Big problem. Now, people say it all the time, and we as agents sit there going, oh, that's very nice. But you don't get a lovely, oh, Komaki, very nice. Oh, lovely, nice views, eh? Nice views. What are you talking about? Not allowed to slap your clients. But you're not allowed to let them talk nonsense to you. You're not allowed to tell your clients, tell you that they're going to Komaki when they're selling out of Randburg in this market. It doesn't convert. It's not sensible. You don't get to do that. So I'm sorry you bought this house in Randburg, and I'm sorry that you have to move to Komaki, but you're not getting 20 million rand for this house. It does not happen like that. So what is realistic for this house? And when you're realistic, you find out that you don't move to Komati, you actually move to Durbanville, and it's very nice in Durbanville, and you're in a one-bedroom flat, and you don't have a mansion overlooking Hout Bay. Why? Because it's a real world we live in. There's real things that happen. So the decisions that you've made your whole life have led you to a place now where you cannot depend on the last one thing to fix everything. It doesn't work like that. And these words that I'm saying, you actually have to say to the client, listen, you cannot fund your dreams. You cannot fund your new purchase out of this market. Don't say this house. You're not going to say it's a rubbish house. It's not in this market. We might wait for 5 or 6 years for this house to increase in value. But remember, while you're waiting for this house to increase in value, the houses in Komaki are increasing in value. So you're buying and selling in the same market. So sell at a loss, buy at a loss. Sell it at a profit, you're buying at expensive. Okay. And the question, of course, is what are you going to do if it takes 18 months to sell? Komaki is going to be full by then. Something's going to change. You'll be dead. You're 100 years old already. How are you going to retire in 18 months' time? You're retiring today. Okay. And the last thing is, this is the person that we really don't like. He says, listen, I actually don't need to sell. So I won't take a loss. I'll let it stand empty. Now, I've heard that before. Now you need to say to them that, well, how much is it costing you to keep it? So yes, you think you're not losing money, but you're actually losing 350,000 Rand a year. He says, I still don't care. And then you say to them, I'll rent it out for you. Because why? No, I don't want tenants in my house. You cannot let a house stand empty in South Africa. Why? Because your insurance after 2 months will stop paying if it gets broken into, because it may not stand empty. So you're going to have to hire a guard to stand at the house. Otherwise, it's going to get infiltrated by squatters, and then you get a major problem. Or it's going to get stolen, and they will steal your windows, your roof, your geysers. They'll steal your whole house. Now you're opening a whole can of worms. So let's just rent it out, put a nice family in there and look after it, and you can make some money or break even or whatever, but at least the house is safe. Okay, and we'll wait, and in a year's time, we put it back on the market. And if you've never read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, you should. It's a beautiful book. And one thing in the book talks about your head. If you move beyond fear, you will be freed. So don't get stuck with all of the stuff that's happening. Just act, do something. Okay? When you change what you believe, you change what you can do. If you think about it, so if you just change what's in your head, you'll be able to do a whole lot of different stuff that you didn't do. And the last one is very, very, very important. If you adapt to change quickly, you get into the new paradigm faster. So the quicker you let go of the old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy the new cheese. Okay? You need to read the book to understand all the cheese and the mouse. Okay, but it's a very cool book. Right. Are there any questions? There's a question on the chat. Let's have a look. So the question is, what does 5 months of stock mean? It means that if you, it's the amount of stock required for you to sell a property a month. So if you want to sell one a month, you probably need about 10 to 15 listings. But if that 1 month of sale is stretching out to over 2 months, then you don't need 10 to 15 listings. You actually need 30 listings. You need 20 to 30 listings. So you almost got to double your listings so that you can fill in the gap that's caused by the economy that's making it harder to sell. Because it's not taking a month to sell a house. It's not even taking 2 months to sell a house. Now it's taking 3 months. So you need enough saleable stock to be able to plug the gap while you're waiting. Because if you only got 5, you might do 1 every 3 months. If you get 10, you might do 2 every 3 months, which is actually 1 every 6 weeks. If you get 15, you might do 3, and that's 1 a month. You understand? Cool. Any other questions? Right, everybody on the start. Remember, tomorrow we are having the World Champion Bowling Tournament of the Universe, where we will start our stuff. We're going to have it at the Bryanston Sports Club. This is not the Bryanston Country Club. Sports Club. William Nicol. That side, please. Angel and Gap Home Loans are buying us some beers afterwards and supplying us with some food. And we're going to start our stuff on the high shoes. And please wear a red t-shirt. So have a nice day and go and sell some houses.